A design pattern that you often see in logos is that shapes are moved around, such as this one here. As you see, the black shape is shifted to the side and those colored lines are also shifted. How do you achieve that when you do not want to make copies of the shapes and paste them in front and in back and then move them around? Because when you do that, then you cannot edit anything. So in this thing here, I can edit the text and everything adapts to that. So I want to do that, but I still want to move those shapes and lines around. Let's take a look at this. In order to get something to move, of course, again, I need the appearance panel, and then I need additional strokes and fills. So if this is selected like so, I can add another fill, which is now added on top. So I'm going to move it below the characters. Then I don't see it because it's in the same position. But in order to move it around, I can add an effect, distort and transform. The transform effect is one of the most important effects in that whole menu. Now I can specify where I want to move that. And I can make that a shadow or move that somewhere else. Doesn't matter. Now I can edit that text and still I can see what my shape in the background is doing. But that's not all. Of course, I can do the same to the stroke. So let's have a stroke in here. And again, let's apply distort and transform and change that. So now I have a stroke moving around. What else can we do? As you have seen in that dialog box, you can also scale that. So now it gets bigger and we have already moved it. We can rotate it or reflect it. And let's undo this here and let's undo the reflection. We can also make copies. Now for that, I'm going to set that to 100% again, and we can make copies. And as you see, they get applied the same transformation. So we've got the same distance. Now, as you have seen at the top, if you want to have them in different colors, then we need to do something else. We cannot do that with these copies because they will always be black or be yellow like here. So for that, we need to have additional strokes. We can copy them. The transform effect is already applied. Let's just change the color and go into the transform effect and do something else here. So then it gets moved around. And we need to do the same a couple of times if we want to have a couple of more objects. And the same for the shadow. If we want to have them in different colors, then each of them just needs to have 0 copies and just be moved around some more, and then we get all of that. Now there's a pretty famous effect which is called a block shadow, and in order to get that block shadow, some folks have come up with the idea that they can use the transform effect for that as well, because if you set this to a really low value like so and then add a lot more copies, then you get your block shadow. This is okay if you do so while in the ideation process, but if you use that for the output, it will get you in trouble. And I will make another video about the trouble you're getting into, and also there is a solution to that. But this trouble doesn't affect the transform effect in itself. It's still a very important effect.